Hello my beautiful makeup lovers! Thank you so much for tuning in with me today and a very warm welcome to my channel. Today I want to give you my final review on the Hasina 2 palette of Blushtribe. Quick thing, I did do a first impression with this one, so if you want to see swatches and want to have information about the price, etc., then go to this video. I'll link it down below and up here. So because here I'm just going to show you two looks that I created with this palette and give you like my final thoughts on it. So for swatches and all this fuss, jump into the other one. And yeah, so before we get into the final review, I want to show you two looks that I created with this, one of them being this one, and then I give you my final thoughts on the palette. Today I'm going to start off my look with the color Iris over here and put it as a transition shade from here to the middle, more or less, of my crease. And I am going to use another palette because the Hasina 2 doesn't come with a mirror. So I am going to use another palette to have a mirror, as always. And now kind of as a second transition shade, I'm going to use the color Annika over here to put it like in the inner part of the crease and do the transition there. Now I will deepen up the crease using the color Mohan over here, and I will use it on both kind of colors laid there to kind of combine them a little bit more. Now I'm going to use the color Mina, I hope that's how we pronounce it, and put it on the lid till from the inner corner to the middle. And I'm going to wet my brush. I'm going to do this with... Oops. Now I'm going to go into the color Grenade, this one, and put it like on the other part of my lid that haven't been done yet with the blue shimmer. And I also did wet my brush. Now I'm going to go back in with the color Mohan to deepen up the outer V a little bit more and incorporate it with the shimmer I just put there. Okay, so for my under eye, I am going to do actually exactly the same like I did on top. I'm going to use on the inner part the blue, and on the outer part this color Iris to put it here, and then I'm going to deepen it up a bit closer to the lower lash line with the color Mohan. And now I'm going to use the color Faye as an inner corner highlight on a wetted brush. And now I'm going to use the color Monique up here as a brow bone highlight. Okay, now I'm going to finish up the look with mascara and the stuff, and then I'm going to be back with you. Okay guys, so this is the finished look. I also did change my shirt because I realized what I was wearing was not fitting the look whatsoever. I finished up the look with the Essence Lash Prints Mascara, the False Effect one, and the Huda Beauty Liquid Matte in Jet Setter. So that's the finished look I did for this with the Hasina 2 palette. With the today's look, with the Hasina 2 palette, I'm gonna start off with the color Erin over here with this very grass green matte. Now I'm gonna go into the color Mahia, which is just a little bit less apple green than the color Erin, and I just want to give it a bit more rich of a green because I did blend Erin out quite a lot to have it more sheer, and now I'm starting to build up more the opaque green with the color Mahia. And now I'm gonna go in with the color Mani to deepen up a little bit more the crease and yeah, give this a bit more definition. Okay, now I'm gonna use the color Fage, this one, to put it here on the inner part of my lid. I was thinking to cut my crease on that, but I decided against it, I think, because I want to see, I don't know, like I want to see how this goes together if you mix colors like from the green with the blue, and yeah, maybe it will be terrible, but I will give it a try. And I'm gonna wet my brush for it. Now I'm gonna go in with the color Mina over here to finish up the lid with this shimmer. And I'm also gonna wet my brush for it. And now I'm gonna go in with the tiniest amount of this black matte, like to deepen up a little bit here, the corner, and to swoop it a little bit over this where I put the shimmer shade, but just a really tiny little bit. Now I am going to do kind of a cut crease, not really with the wing, like I'm gonna put some concealer on my brush. I'm gonna imitate a winged liner over here. So the first part of my cut crease winged liner, let's call it like this, I'm going to fill in with the color Jade over here. Okay, so for the second part to fill out the winged line cut crease is I'm using the color Shea over here. Okay, so I did have a bit of trouble doing this with the color Shea, so I just switched to the color Mani. And now I'm going to do the last little part of the winged liner with the color Ash over here. Okay, after this I'm going to, by the way, this didn't really turn out as I planned it. I think I should have gone only with the color Jade, like all over till the end, but I did try something, didn't really work out. So if this is a bit odd, it's not the fault of the shadows itself, it's a bit my conceptual skills maybe, but we're gonna roll with it now, and yeah. So the under eyes, I'm basically gonna start using the color Mahia, like all over the under eye, and then I'm gonna use the color Mani to deepen up like the outer part of the under eyes. Okay, so now I'm gonna finish up with mascara, it's called mascara, and then I'm gonna be back with you. Okay guys, so this is the finished look. I did put also the color Monique here as an inner corner highlight, and I used a Wet n Wild Mega Glow highlighter in the color Precious Petals as a brow bone highlight. So yeah, as I already said, this look didn't turn out as planned. Which is more of my conceptual skills. I think this whole cut wing liner, do you call it like this? I have to practice, but yeah, I'm still liking how it turned out. I really like how the blues and the greens play together, and yeah, so I'm still kind of happy. kind of happy. Okay, now you've seen the 2 looks I created for you for you on camera, and now let's go to my final thoughts of this palette. So it does have strong points. So let's first start with the strong points of this palette. In general, most of the shades are really good quality. So especially I want to mention this green mats up here, the color Ray, the color Aaron, Mahia, and also the color Mani. They are amazing. They blend really well. They're really nicely pigmented. Like, I think the greens are very, very pigmented, especially these 2. I need like 1 brush drop and I can do whatever I want. And if I take a second one, I will have a really, really green eye. And I like this. For me, I really love that. That's amazing. And also I found, which is really nice, that I'm grabbed into the palette, that you can use your preferred technique with this. So if you take them and just straight blend them out, then you get kind of a sheer tone of it, and you can still build it up nicely. So you have like kind of like a very strong green or very sheer green if you just go in straight into blending. But you can also do this kind of thing where you stamp them and then you start to blend them out a little bit more. It will work in both ways. So this is really nice because the kind of technique you prefer, I think you can like apply to those shades. And also these 2 purples over here are really nice. I really like them, how they perform. This one is probably the sheerest color, what you could consider a normal transition shade in this palette. And yeah, so this purple also works really nicely. So these mats over here, really nice. And I have to continue for these shimmers, like these 3 first and these 3 down here. They're really nice. I think they go on really nicely opaque. In the beginning, I was a bit afraid that these 3 are too similar to each other. But I found you use them very differently. Like this one definitely differs from Monique. Monique is more this kind of inner corner highlight shade that if you put it on the lid, it's a bit too sheer to just cover the lid. While Monique, Grenade down here really does that for you, but it's a bit too deep for inner corner highlight, at least for me. And Destiny is definitely more of this kind of like pinkish shimmer, and it's really nice. You can definitely tell the difference between those when they're on your eyes and how you use them. And these 3 down here, I really love them. I think they're amazing shimmers. And yeah, so most of the colors in here, I'm a big fan of them. I think they are really nicely pigmented. They're really easy to work with. So that's a big plus, a big strength of this palette. And yeah, so longevity wise, they are really long lasting. Like, they don't last longer than any other good palette that I have. They don't last shorter. They're just within the good, like the high amount, not the high amount, like the high level of average, let's say. They do last pretty nicely. So on me, with someone with very oily lids, they do last around, I would say like 7-8 hours before they start to noticeably crease a little bit, and till the point that I'm really thinking of like, okay, now it starts to look not good anymore. It's like 10 hours probably. And yeah, that's really nice for me, at least. Like, always keep in mind, I'm someone with really oily eyelids, so a lot of companies crease on me really fast, so keep that in mind. And yeah, so I'm really happy with this as well. And my biggest point with this palette, actually, besides like all these objective things of quality, longevity and stuff like that, I have a very subjective point of this one. So I just find this color story so inspiring. I think it's a very inspiring palette that gets your creative juices kind of flowing. I created at this point probably like 6-7 looks with this one, more or less, and I still feel like I still have looks in here that I didn't do yet. I still have things that I want to do. It kind of brings me to try techniques I haven't tried before. And if you're someone like me who has a lot of eyeshadow palettes, this really means something, because I do have a lot of eyeshadow palettes that I really love, but after using them like 2 or 3 times in a row, I'm like, meh, next. And I don't feel this way with this one. And this is a really strong point for me. And I love the color story. It's very inspiring. And I think for me, it's the most beautiful color story I have seen so far this year. And that's really something. And I'm really in love with that one. So all over, I think, like for the strong points also, if you consider them, this is a really good price quality deal that you can do. It does retail for like 28 euros, I think like 26 pounds and like $31, something like this. So I think this is a really, you get 15 shades where most of them are really good. You have a beautiful color story that I did not find yet in this layout, and that's really nice. I'm happy with the purchase in general, considering the strong points. But there are a few weak points to this palette, which are namely 3 shades. And one of them is, I think, a bit subjective, while the other 2 are a bit more objective. And for me, the first one is subjective. Minus point is this color Ash, the black matte. I just don't want more black mattes in my palette. And I know I bought this one totally knowing that this one will be in there, so I cannot really put a minus on this for the palette. But I don't know, like I think a black matte is probably the shade I have the most in my collection without really liking it. I don't think a black matte is really necessary anymore. I think this is not a palette you buy if you kind of start with makeup. At least I think in 99% of the cases, this is not the palette you feel like, oh, I want to get into eyeshadow, so I'm gonna buy this one. So people who buy this, they have already a collection, a little bit at least. And I think everybody has a black matte who has like 1 or 2 eyeshadow palettes at least. So I think that would have been really nice if this would have been like a really dark matte blue to accompany these 2 shades a bit better. And I would have really loved this for this palette to replace this black matte. I used it in this look a little bit just to use it, but generally I don't really use it. Objectively, it's quite a good black matte. It performs well, yes, but I don't really need this in a palette. Secondly, the shade that I have a little bit of trouble with working is this color Annika over here, this blue sheer matte. It kind of skips a lot on me. I tried different techniques. I tried it with a primer, without primer, setting my primer, not setting my primer, stamping, blending. I don't know. It just kind of skips on me a little bit. I don't know if you could tell this in the first look I did. You could see it, how I applied it. I don't know if you could see there that it does skip. I don't know, like it takes me a lot of work to make that this one doesn't come out patchy. And yeah, I don't know. This shade is not my favorite in the palette. I think it falls behind in quality behind the other ones. And yeah, so yeah, this one is a little bit a downfall. And also the shade Shay. I used it in my first impression look with this palette, and I was like, I don't think I'm using it right. But in the end, I think it's more the shade itself, unfortunately. I don't find that it's really... It goes on really hard. It's like I find satins in general go on my eyelids. Maybe it's just me, but on my eyelids I feel like satins go on a bit difficult, and this one has more of a satin finish, and I feel like it just doesn't work properly on me. I have to work it up a lot too. I did like one look where I put it like all over my lid, and I had like a kind of purpley pink, you know, crease with these 2, and these were really intense. And then I had this kind of shade on my lid. I don't know, like it emphasized a lot on my wrinkles. And I know I don't have the youngest eyelids, okay, but none of the other shades did that. So I'm not such a fan of this shade. So these 2, objectively, I think they are not the best. This one, I think objectively it's a good shade. I just wish it would be a different one. So in the end, I think that objectively 13 or 15 shades in here are really good, objectively speaking, quality-wise. 2 of them, I think, maybe Shay is also a bit subjectively for me, but I think, yeah, that Annika is really... I also read in other feeds that Annika is a bit of a troublesome shade, so I'm not alone with this. And yeah, so... But all over, I'm really happy I bought this palette. I think it's a beautiful palette. I would definitely rebuy it again. To everybody who feels drawn to this color scheme, I would totally recommend it. I would let you know, okay, please be aware that this shade could be troublesome for you. And this shade as well, maybe not, I don't know. I didn't hear other people complain about this one, so maybe it's just me. But all over, I'm really happy with the palette. I keep on reaching for it. I still feel inspired by it after having it for like 3 weeks. And I'm just so happy, and I bought this and I got the chance to try this out. And yeah, so this is definitely a go for it if you feel inspired by the color story. If the color story is not for you, you're not gonna have a good time with it, obviously. So yeah, that was my final verdict on the palette. I love it. And yeah, so let me know in the comments down below if you have this palette. What is sorry. If your palette, if you also have troubles with the color Annika, maybe you have an like hint or tip for me how I could use this better. Maybe it's just me in this case. And yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you think about this palette. Have you tried Blushtribe? What is your opinion on Blushtribe in general? And yeah, so give this video a thumbs up if you like this kind of videos. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. And so I can see you in my next video. Bye bye!